What's going on, guys? We are back at the shop today. It is Saturday. I got Steve's intercooler piping completely wrapped up. This is the hot pipe coming from the supercharger to the intercooler, and then obviously we just have this one sitting on here right now. We did get the ProCharger blow-off valve flange in from Race Part Solutions. My buddy TJ's coming out today. He's grabbing this piping and we're gonna get it powder coated wrinkle black. After talking to Steve, he just agreed that it would look better black under here. I mean, the valve covers are wrinkle black and the intake manifold is satin black. So it'll just really tie under the hood together. The first thing I gotta do, I gotta get both of these cars out. The Nova's leaving today. Steve's car's gotta go out because Russell's car is coming back in because we are finally ready to wire the high speed to the fuel pump, put it on E85, and we're gonna button up a couple things that needs a set of shorter push rods in it. I don't want to get too hot if we're putting push rods in it. Well, we're putting the other rockers back in too, right? Yeah. You got all that? Yeah. For all the shit talkers that says it doesn't run.
Drove it in here.
Drove it in here off the trailer. You know, it didn't go to Hot Rod Week because I blew the car up. But what actually happened is when we got the bottom end together, Russell took it home and the motor was making a noise, the new motor. Had a set of 243s on it. We switched rockers on this motor. I'm assuming with the new BTR rockers and the machining differences, the push rods were too long because it was making not a great top end noise. Also, pulled the heads off back at Russell's and with the heads on the bench, poured some acetone in the chambers and 2 of the intake valves were leaking down pretty bad. So I'm gonna assume that's where some of the noise was coming from too. I ran up to his house and swapped out the stock rockers back in it with, I swapped out the stock rockers with 7 back with the stock push rods and it got quieter. They were still about 25 thousandths too long. The lifter was basically bottomed out. Had him order some 7 350 push rods. We're gonna put the other rockers back in with those and hopefully this thing is quiet. But other than that, we're gonna button up a whole bunch of stuff today, get it on ethanol, and then this dickhead's gonna party. What you doing, buddy?
Look at this framework.
Yeah, we got our nice
Plated
massaged
up.
frame plated. Yep, just the front and the back plates. Hopefully you didn't tear that new one up too.
It probably is.
I got the motor buttoned up. Now, we're just doing all our nut and bolt checks, and Russell was not happy with the studs. We're swapping them out. This side's pretty tight compared to the other side. I know Brian loves being on camera. Them ARP joints up in there.
You have the tools that you took everything apart with?
You're probably gonna need a wrench for them, or you're gonna fit a socket in there.
Just a wrench.
Oh, Russell, what do you think?
Where's Wes?
Where's Wes? What do you think, TJ? You think Russell's ready for all this?
Yeah.
Already chicken footed it going up the street.
I did hear that.
You did hear it? As soon as the gate cracked, I heard it shut again.
Yeah, you're right. Jeff, I heard him send you a video telling me blowing the fucking tires off this motherfucker. And guess where it's gonna end up?
Right back here. Got them seatbelt tabs welded in, zip tied in, how they were before. Motor's good. Can't wait to blow this one up too. Be my fault again. What's so funny? Got something you want to say, TJ? You want to say something, Cody Rogers? What's going on, guys? It is Monday at the shop, and we have some exciting new projects to start this week. We did finish up Russell's car on Saturday. He's been out driving it around all weekend, having a blast in it. Wound up swapping out the push rods. Had to go to a shorter push rod. We did switch the car over to BTR's rockers that come with the trunnion upgrades. I don't know if there's a machining difference between the stock rockers and their rockers, which I'm sure there are. The 7.4 push rods did not fit as well as they did with the factory rockers. So we went to a 7.350 and everything sounds and looks good. The preload's perfect. This week, we got our buddy Ozzy's Supra into the shop. Obviously, I'm a big 2J guy, so I'm really happy. This car's pretty neat. This car used to be a buddy of mine, Luke's, and this is a small world because Luke is local to me here in Bel Air, Maryland. When he sold this car and went to Colorado, and it was out there for a number of years, well, our buddy Ozzy, who doesn't really know Luke, wound up buying the car from the guy in Colorado and bringing it back to Bel Air, Maryland, which is how it's at my shop now. Basically, what I'm going to do to this car, he just put a brand new PHR, I want to say it's the S2 manifold on it, which is a really nice piece, paired with a Garrett G40 900. We need to make a downpipe for this car. He gave me some intercooler piping. We're going to try that out. The only other thing I do have to do, because this is a water-cooled turbo, he needs, this water line goes to the upper water neck, and we need to return this coolant out of this side of the turbo into the lower water neck. So I'm gonna have to pull the lower water neck off and weld a 6AN fitting on there. Pretty straightforward project. There's no mid pipe as well, so I'll be fabricating a down pipe and a mid pipe to meet up with his existing catback exhaust or catback. I'm not sure if this is 100% a fresh build. I think he got the car running and driving. So we're gonna nut and bolt check it, probably get coolant and everything else put in it, bleed it all out, get the car running and driving, and start to at least get him a base tune in the car so he can, you know, start driving it and beating on it. Steve's car is pretty much wrapped up. As you can see, the piping is not on it. My buddy TJ came and picked the piping up. He works at RC Hot Coats. They are my go-to for powder coating and ceramic coating. So he is doing the intercooler pipes on this car in wrinkle black like we talked about. He also has a turbo manifold for another project that we're going to be starting here very shortly. I got a tight timeline for that. It's one of my own cars, so finally get to work on some of my own junk. Well, guys, we are rolling along on the Supra today. I decided to go with a 4-inch downpipe. I think when we talked with the customer, it was going to be 3, but I wasn't quite sure on which size downpipe, flange, and hot side was on the turbo. So with this G40, it's closer to 4-inch than this 3-inch. Now, before we put the car down, that is not the full downpipe. I do have our last piece here already marked. So far, this guy is just tacked up in here. I'm gonna get this in about there, just roughly, you know. Hard to do one-handed. I want to get this pipe out. We'll check it out from the top, and then I'll tell you why I'm not welding this one yet. We got our 4-inch down pipe in. We have plenty of clearance. This stuff is just sitting here loosely. The only thing that we're kind of tight to is this top fitting here on the wastegate. The reason why I want to weld this down pipe first is when you weld, you know, stainless steel, the parts tend to move around a little bit. So I don't want to weld bottom piece with the flange on yet until I fully weld out this top part, because if I fully weld everything out at once and go to put it in the car, you know, the bottom might have turned or it might have shrunk in one direction or another. So if I need to massage it or, you know, adjust something, I'll get this top piece welded out, recheck all the, you know, test fit everything, and if it fits properly, then I'll weld on the bottom piece, and that'll keep our shrinkage and warpage to a minimum. I'm going to pull this down pipe out of the car, and I'm going to fully weld it out, you know, test fit it once more, weld the bottom piece on, and I do need to put an O2 sensor bung in it, so that'll be the last step. Guys, now that the Downpipe is done. I have started working on the rest of the exhaust. But we got our 4-inch downpipe completely done and welded out, minus an O2 sensor bung. And I just got done starting on the mid-pipe. So on the mid-pipe, we're gonna go from the 4-inch transition down to a 3-inch because this back section is 3-inch. I wanted to make this 4-inch just for future upgradability, but just a rough fit up there. And you can see we're gonna shoot straight down the factory tunnel here, back over and straight into the exhaust. This guy shouldn't take me too long to do, probably about an hour. I'm gonna start cutting up some material and we're gonna get the mid-pipe welded up. Well, boys, just like that, we have a completed exhaust on this car. We got the 4-inch downpipe done, hooked up and made a 4-inch to 3-inch mid-pipe. Again, because his rear section was a 3-inch that was on the car. That's what he wants to go with. He had a 5-inch exhaust on it. He said it was just way too loud. So 4-inch off the turbo. We come down to this vibrant this vibrant 3 to 4 reducer, and then back all stainless to his rear section. We wound up keeping this 2-bolt flange. I did have one here, just save time and money instead of cutting the other side off and V-banding that. Plus now, you know, he can pretty much get any bolt-on Supra cat back and it will bolt directly in place of this one. Came out really good. I'm pretty happy with it. The downpipe was a little bit tight, but we had just enough room. I can't see too much in there. It's got about a 1/2 inch to the trans bell housing. Closest place it is to the wastegate, which we talked about before. I'm going to swap that fitting out, not only with a metal one, but there is another location on top of the wastegate to move that fitting to that will be further away from the downpipe. Pretty much all I got left on this car. I got to pull the lower water neck off and weld a 6AN bung in it so we can return the water back into the motor from the turbo. Intercooler pipe, you know, a couple little odds and ends, probably plumb the wastegates for him, get that done. And I'm looking forward to seeing what it sounds like. All right, guys, now that this exhaust is done, I want to show you a really cool trick that I do with some of my stainless work. On this car, you can see a good bit of the downpipe. Once everything is fully heat cycled, I don't want this thing changing too many crazy colors, so I'm actually going to wipe down all of this fresh stainless with WD-40. Now, I learned this trick a few years ago from a motorcycle guy, actually. He worked on Harleys, and he was like, yeah, every time we put a brand new stainless exhaust on a Harley, we wipe it down with WD-40. And I was like, that's crazy. What does that do? He said it gets the gold look that you always want. I've been doing it ever since, and I'm going to do it on this downpipe. That way, you know, over time, as the car heat cycles, you get that nice gold appearance out of your stainless, and it doesn't, you know, get all crusty. This is brushed stainless. It's all from Ace Race parts. It is genuine 304 stainless. So I actually wiped all this down with WD-40, and as you can see, for the most part, it stayed mostly gold. You can see here, these black areas where there's a little bit more heat. This is kind of typical of brushed stainless. Even if it is a high-grade stainless like 304, it still does, I'd say the word is corrode for it. Wiping it down with WD-40 will give it this nice gold appearance, and it'll probably hold up a little bit better under the hood of the Supra. I'm gonna take my WD-40, I'm gonna spray it on a nice clean rag, and I'm gonna wipe my pipes down. I'm pretty much finished up with what I needed to do. I did get this fitting welded onto the lower water neck there, and we got the hose hooked up to the turbo. All of the downpipe plumbing exhaust is on. I do need to put this upper catch can line back on. I relocated the fitting from here where it was pretty close to the downpipe to down here, so we shouldn't have to worry about heat on that guy. But yeah, making great progress here. So let me get these pipes wiped down. I'm gonna get the car filled with coolant, get the charge pipe back on, and just button up a few odds and ends, and then we can run it. I just have to modify one of the charge pipes that he gave me with the car. On the other hand, I got Steve's car back in the shop. We got all the intercooler piping done and bolted on. Pretty much everything here is done on that end. He wanted me to get a good street tune in the car so he could drive the car and enjoy it. As I started to get the car running and started to work on the tune-up, I noticed that it seemed that it was down on a cylinder. I got my temp gun, and cylinder 3 was a lot cooler than the rest, which indicates to me cylinder 3 is not burning. I pulled the spark plug out of cylinder 3, and it is basically brand new. It didn't really even have any fuel on it. My next process was, pulled the plug. Plug was already out. I did a compression test on that cylinder, had about 150 PSI, so we're safe there. During that, I unplugged the injectors and the distributor so it wouldn't fire. To do that, I had to unplug the map sensor on the firewall. Now, when I plugged it back in, I didn't even look at this. It was reading full boost with the key on and engine off. Obviously, this connector, being that it's about, I think he said about 9 years old on this harness, connector's a little bit damaged. And you can see that is what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to have these guides to guide the pin into the map sensor. I'm gonna cut this connector off. I'm gonna put this guy in here and see if we can fix that issue, because now I put another spark plug in that hole. I was gonna put a Noid light on the injector to make sure that we're getting signal for the injector, but can't even do that if I can't get the car running. So we figured out our misfire. To make a long story short, I'm blaming Steve a little bit. I love Steve to death. This car was together last year with a much milder setup, a smaller blower, and a manual transmission. We took this car to the dyno and it burned up a head gasket. Actually, no, it burned up a head gasket just here at the shop with me getting it running. And then he went through, put a set of better head gaskets in it. We took it to the dyno, burned up another head gasket on the dyno. The tune-up was super safe. It didn't make too much sense. Steve talked to the engine builder. It was kind of, that motor was really never meant to see boost. I still thought something was kind of off, but we just assumed that that was the problem. With this misfire, I checked compression. We checked spark. We had both of them. Obviously, when I pulled the plug out, it looked brand new. It didn't have any fuel on it. I got the map sensor wiring finished, get the car running. It's still misfiring on 7, even with a new spark plug in it, so we can rule the spark plug out. And I noticed on the injector harness that there was some tape wrapped around the injector wire. I think he said about 4 or 5 years ago, he had this car down the beach and it was leaking some oil and it shorted out the injector harness, so he put a new one on there. Years ago, I always thought the best way to terminate or, fix a wire on a car was with solder. And I've since learned that solder is not a great option. Took my fingers and I basically rolled them back and forth on this little joint where this, where the injector harness was taped up. The Noid light started lighting up. I plugged the injector back in, completely different car, wakes right up. Now I'm starting to realize, last year when we were burning head gaskets up in this motor between cylinders 6 and 7, that's what was going on. Pull the tape back and this is what we got here. This is the only injector clip in the entire car that's different, and it's the only one that's ever been repaired. These are still terminated, right? We're good. Like, they're still soldered. Somewhere in this connection here, from me rolling my fingers around on it, the injector came alive. So I'm gonna cut all this junk out of here. I tend to use solid barrel crimps or a brass connector net, like, I don't know what type of connector it's called. It's like a brass crimp connector on all my wiring stuff, and either marine or Raychem under the hood. With the temperatures under the hood of this car and where the injector harness is sitting down in the valley, the potential for it to get hot enough to loosen the solder up, all the vibration and the heat will create a cold solder joint. Now looking back, now kind of understanding what's going on with this injector harness, we kind of understand what happened to the last 2 motors. So I'm gonna cut this out now, just like I did with the map sensor, fix this harness. He does have another injector harness at home. I'm going to go through the steps and make sure, I'm going to shake this thing around, rattle it, do whatever I have to do, keep the temp gun on it. When we go to the dyno, we'll put a temp gun on it and make sure that we're not losing signal on that hole again. 7,000 RPM and 30 pounds of boost out of this YSIB. If we lose fuel in a hole, it's going to tear shit up. Let me get this fixed up. This car sounds absolutely phenomenal with it's running on all 8 cylinders. It's the best the car sounded in years. Now I'm gonna get to start the tuning on it, get some drivability done. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this video up. Steve's car is leaving tomorrow. The only thing left to do to it is get a bracket welded onto his lower core support, just to hold the bottom of this intercooler for moving around. I mean, it's pretty sturdy the way it is now. But other than that, this thing's ready to go. I can't do too much more tuning on it because the alternator harness is part of the front bumper harness for the headlights and stuff, and he doesn't have that here with the car. The battery's not charging. We're already down at 11.5 volts. The Supra should be leaving this week as well. Just have to finish that lower intercooler pipe. And then I got some other projects coming in, but the next big project is gonna be really fun. We're gonna do a start to finish on that one. It'll be pretty quick. It's one of my own cars, something I've been looking to do. It might just be this one right here. hopefully everything goes good with that as well. I got a car show in 2 months. I'm trying to take that and the Lexus 2 and the C10. I'd like to have all 3 there. And they also have a 2-step anti-lag competition, which I plan on winning handily. But guys, thanks for tuning in on this one again. If you like my content, don't forget, like and subscribe the video, and we will see you on the next one.